Is there consideration, and I'm apologizing for not having kept up to date with what's going on, but is there a move afoot to bring other media into the journalists category? I mean, like you were saying, AI and people that are doing all kinds of digital stuff and things like that, because the name might have to be changed from the National Association of Black Journalists to encompass all the new media that is, I mean, the world has changed, and I think the organization has to change with it. Um, and I just wonder if that's being considered by these candidates and by the board of really a fundamental change in what our mission is now in this changing world of journalism. That's nothing I would have ever dreamed of. I joined ABJ in 1984. I mean, and to look at where we are now with then. So tell me, is that under consideration, or have there been talks like that?
Let me clearly state, and let me do it with an analogy. I remember being Taskforce chairperson and then later becoming on the board. During that transition, podcast and it was considered not journalism.
Right.
The board, all of a sudden, it was journalism. So I think that we have to push that into existence. I don't think we need to change our structure. We just need to raise our consciousness and do the efforts to bring it in there. Because I remember that podcast, it's not real journalism. Oh, okay. And now
Right.
podcasts are the go-to sources for storytelling and awards. And so I think that, again, and first of all, I'm very honored to have you on the call, Carole, by the way. you know, I think that, again, we have to be more than identifying what's wrong. We also have to be the people that create the open door to create the change. And one way to do that is to go to our board reps, go to the board itself, the president. All of us have influence with that board, and we create a platform. Now, let me say this for you, Carole, and everyone else who knows this. We have K.L. Newhouse, who came out of the congressional. She was the congressional communications person for one of the congressmen, the late and honorable Eddie Benice Johnson, and she put together our amendment. She put together the whole thing, and we were told that we worded it too strong and that we lost by one vote. So we want to go back and revamp that process and go right back into it and say, hey, and you're right, there needs to be, looking at our awards criteria, there needs to be things that's going to bring in how we utilize our new tools and AI. And we don't need to revamp the organization. I don't think it needs to be changed because National Association of Journalists is a long word for storytellers. You're not going to ever stop being one. I'm a storyteller, period.
Exactly.
Be investigative now. I may be more advocacy than investigative, but I'm still a storyteller. So I don't think my personal insight is that I don't think we need to change the name, but we need to raise our skills bar that we recognize what journalism is today. And that's why I'm honored to have you on the call, because you have a successful span of impact, influence, and history. You know what journalism used to be, the beat.
Sure do. What's that? I understand ChatGPT is writing newscasts now.
Well, just last week, there was an article that the whole newscast was a ChatGPT newscast on one of the Fox segments.
Oh my God.
How can you win an award if that's an ethical push? That's an ethical cushion that's there. But while we have you on the call, and you're never become my guest, but give us an impact of what you've seen over the years and how it's affected you and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, I'm funny you asked me this at this time. I just decided to republish my book News Lady, which was written in 2010, which was my story. But now I'm going to republish it with some new chapters, including how journalism has changed from the time I was I was a reporter to now. I mean, the fact that journalists are being called public enemy number one by this White House, that we are the enemy of the people, when those of us that came to journalism in the 60s, our job and what we saw as our mission and why it was so important that we go to journalism school was because we saw all the problems. That was the 60s, so you know how crazy that was with the anti-war and civil rights and assassinations and my God, so much going on in the 60s. And we felt that if we became journalists that we could help communicate what the problems were so that people would have an understanding of them. And if they had an understanding, then they could arrive at solutions. And we came in with that fervor um, to really change society and make it better. These kids today don't care one whit about that. I'm telling you, I'm not talking about the young journal. I'm talking about the kids entering school now. I taught at Emerson College in Boston for the last 12 years. And, you know, they wanted to be on TV or they wanted to be famous or they wanted to make a lot of money or which all of that has changed. And they wanted to not work weekends, and they didn't want to work nights, and they didn't want to travel. And it's like, you don't want to be a journalist. That is not what we do. That's not what we did, and not what we're going to have to do. But it's been so disappointing. And then I was talking to a entering freshman class there 2 weeks ago, and a third of them wanted to be sports reporters. Another third wanted to be entertainment reporters. And only the last third wanted to be hard news people. And that was so striking to me. What has happened? What has happened to this wonderful profession? The public interest, the public trust. And I have to say that during the 70s and 80s, reporters were respected and they listened to us and they believed what we had to say because we were under the guidelines of it's got to be objective, it's got to have both sides, it's got to be factually correct. I mean, we had fact checkers on every newscast when I was in radio and in television, and they were fact checking before we went on the air to tell anything. And now the public is so confused. They don't know what is true and what is not true, and I don't blame them. I mean, they're looking at their TikToks and their Instagrams and they're looking at social media and they're listening to well, they don't get any newscasts at all. They watch everything regarding news on their phones. My own grandchildren, I can't get them to sit down and watch a newscast in the evening. They want to read it on their devices. So, and I th think we also have a generation that is amusing themselves to death. They want to be constantly entertained with the Netflix and with the movies and with the um, all the other things there are instead of serious reading and serious work and serious thinking. Nobody has critical thinking skills. I mean, and I go, my grandson, I saw it on the net, and I'm going, and who reported it on the net? I don't know who it came from, but you know, something was true and it wasn't true, and they don't know how to find the truth. So I'm at a point where I'm very depressed about where things are headed. Not only because of the American public, which I blame the education system, because we're not teaching kids media literacy anymore about how you can determine what's true and what's not true and how to find the facts. Nobody wants to care. They want to be spoon-fed, not have to think. So it's a very challenging time for
Yes.
journalism. And I just worry about this profession that I loved. I mean, there isn't anything I wanted to do but this. And I loved it all while I was doing it, as hard as it was. And it was hard. I think about these kids today, these young reporters today can check Google. We had to go into the morgue and find the clippings and go through all the clippings. Do you remember that? Um,
Yes.
And it took time. Everything took time. Now everything is instantaneous, in no time. I remember how we had film and it had to be developed, and it took 45 minutes to develop the film for a story to get it on the air. Now it's videotape, it's live, it's instantaneous. Um, and telephones, I remember having to walk blocks to find a pay telephone to call the desk and tell them what I was reporting on. Now they've got instant everything. They text, oh, and they're texting them and they text them back, and everything is texting, and it just is so different. And I don't think to the better either. I guess there's some good things about live events and seeing the Capitol riot on January 6th and see that.
I have a question for you, and I'm gonna preface it with a statement. Ms. Simpson, you've broken barriers at every level of broadcast journalism. I remember asking you my first question 8 years ago about, did you care about what the others thought, or did you just push forward? And so you went from being the first African American woman to anchor a major network newscast, and you've mentored so many younger journalists. Looking back, what are the core things that we need to know when we transition from a journalism role to media related? We become communicators, communication strategists, and communication advisors. What do you think are the core values or things that we need to know?
Because it's so dispersed among so many different entities, this communications explosion we have, uh, it's hard to say what's needed because something is needed for every different kind of thing you're trying to do. I I don't know that there's anything I could advise people to do or be or anything. As I say, because we came in with this fervor that we were going to change America, we were going to make it better. And I don't think people have that anymore. And of course, they're not majoring in journalism anymore. They're looking for other things, computer science. They're looking for something that is going to guarantee them a future because I think everybody sees what's happening. I'm like, oh my God, the Washington Post, what has happened to it since Bezos, people leaving right and left, the subscriptions dying. It's a it's a whole new, it's another planet. It's another
Yeah, it is. And
dimension.
my last question to you is that the media landscape has shifted very rapidly. We've gone from new network dominance, the major
Right.
to digital storytelling. Uh, Tell me, what gives you hope that the current generation of journalists are going to get it right?
I think it's going to have, and I hate to say this, but I think it's going to have to go all the way down,
Oh,
just like with the Trump administration. It's just going to have to die and be rejuvenated in some other fashion. Because I don't think you heard that Paramount is paying Trump for the 60 Minutes interview, right? You heard that? You know, ABC paid. Trump is going to run us ragged, and he's going to try to destroy the media with all these lawsuits and stuff like that. And so we've got him to contend with, plus an American people that don't know what to think. They don't know. They'll take what their neighbor said, they'll take what their preacher said, they'll take what the social media said. Um, we don't have that global village we had,
right.
where the three networks, we all watched the same thing at the same time, and we were part of it. We were part of something. And now, good Lord, you know?
My question again to you, I want to just close out, and some other people can add comments. I didn't want to keep long. I wanted us to focus on revamping our Pat Tobin selection criteria. I wanted to focus on making.
First of all, I'm going to be ignorant. Who is Pat Tobin?
Aha! Who wants to get that story, Ron?
Miss Simpson, Pat Tobin was a an entrepreneur. She had her own.
Oh, it's a woman.
Yes,
Know that.
yes.
Okay.
She had her own PR agency in Southern California, in Los Angeles, and she represented Toyota, and she brought Toyota, I believe, to NABJ. And uh, in the beginning, Toyota actually sponsored the gospel brunch. I
Uh-huh.
think since yeah, I think since Pat passed away, I don't think Toyota is involved with any BJ anymore. I could be incorrect, but Pat represented everyone from Spike Lee to, you name it. She was the networker. Pat was the grand dame of networking. She was the female George Fraser. And
Okay.
she was very well known, and she was a very wonderful person. And she gave a lot of individuals who seek a career in PR the opportunity to work in her company. And here in Los Angeles, when she passed away, there were over, I would say, 1,500 to 2,000 people at her memorial.
Wow.
Yeah.
And let me add to that. Pat Tillman started out as an editor, and she was a reporter and then an editor. But
Really?
she became an exceptional leader in NABJ by changing the narrative for media related. But her legacy is great because she brought to NABJ the people that they wouldn't consider sponsors. Mostly traditionally in NABJ sponsorship was centered around, is it related to the industry?
Right.
So, but she said, no, we need to bring in cosmetics, Toyota, Nakia Cosmetics, the Bossett collection. So she, in her own right, she became a TV personality, a director and producer of great outcomes. And she was a connector. I mean, she would take your hand and walk you over and say, I want you to meet them. My first client that I had when I launched my business came from Pat. It was Colgate. She said, these toothpaste people need to know what toothpaste is all about. Let me introduce you. And so one of my next biggest client I ever had was through Oprah, and it was Dr. Phil. I called her up and she said, what am I going to pitch to him? And she did that, baby, let me tell you. And so Dr. Phil became that client, but that's what she did for all of us. And so when she passed away suddenly from cancer, we installed an award that we were already in the space where you're talking about media-related members. We need to recognize the Sports Task Force has theirs, the Digital Task Force has theirs, and there's the mainstream awards with the organization. So we used that incident as leverage to create PR award. We only got one. Then we came back and created a couple of awards in strategic campaigning and PR too. And so that award was built around someone who had just like Pat, had a very intrinsic and strong relationship with NABJ, had a very vibrant and contributing career in media related, including crisis communications and PR. And so the award now has come, and this is feedback from the membership, and I concur with some of it. But the award is now going to people who don't, as Pam, our coach, I would say, don't have any skin in the game. And we don't know where these people are coming from, and it sometimes disrupts the legacy of Toby. And so that's
Who funds it? Who funds the award? There's no monetary award. It's just an award
yes,
named for her.
the award. Yeah, it's part of the Salute to Excellence framework.
Okay.
So it helped create the other awards. I received one for cause-related marketing. I received a Super Excellent Award for that. Rhonda's received one, and Karen can fill in the blank on the others. But at some point, it's lost its way. And so this response from the membership. The media-related people are one of the largest members sectors that we have. Secondly, the media-related people are where all the sponsors come from for the whole thing. We are tied to all those companies.
Right.
We are the people that bring those dollars to the table. The most important thing in our contribution to NABJ is that we have two workshops. We have several workshops, but we have two workshops that are standing room only every year. That is transitioning from journalism to PR, because mid-level journalists need somewhere to go.
Absolutely.
And then pitch me with your best shot. PR practitioners and media related practitioners want to say, how do I come back on this side of the fence and pitch to the news desk? So those particular workshops are standing room only.
Really?
And today's call was preparing us for the convention. We do have a larger segment and a larger pool, and it's usually done on Sunday. We call it the virtual happy hour. And because for 2 years, we had expert after expert, member after member. And we have a thing we created called the Media Collaborative, and he shared it in the chat, and I'll email it to you too as well, Ms. Simpson. But so all we're doing is strengthening our relationship as NABJ members, trying to get parity. My favorite line comes from Ron. I don't get a discount for the conference, so I don't need it. I need to vote too. We pay
Right.
the fees they pay. So, and most of us are former journalists anyway.
Right.
We're still storytellers. So this call here was to prepare us going into the convention, because this is our 50th year. There's a lot of 50th commentary out there. As a matter of fact, 3 of us on this call contributed to our 50th archives for what we've done in 50 years as media-related people. So we're very honored to have you on the call. And I can tell my personal Carole Simpson story. When I asked you, I asked you about 8 years ago that I'm trying to penetrate and stay authentically Black. How did you do it? And you said, baby, look at me. How could I not do it?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my God. I remember showing up when I was on radio in Chicago, and I was the first woman broadcasting news in Chicago, and people heard my voice. My voice was recognizable on the air. And so I'd go out to cover a story, and I'd come to interview whoever it was I was to interview, and I'd say, I'm Carole Simpson from WBBM Radio. No, you're not, these white people would say. And I go, yeah, I am. And it was like, you can't be Carole Simpson. And I said, why can't I be Carole Simpson? And they said, because I never heard anybody colored talk that way.
Oh, Lord.
How do you talk that way? Do you have to take special speech lessons in speech? It used to drive me insane. I grew up in Chicago, but I could talk Southern if I needed to. When I went to in the inner city and talked to people, I could be right there with them. We did have these two faces that I guess everybody Black has, to be able to be respected and believed by one side and the other. And it sometimes takes two voices.
Absolutely. And you just said something that keyed back to some of the opposition you faced. That Chicago was founded by Black men. Most white people say, really? I say, yeah. So we don't understand that our narrative needs to be controlled, but it also needs to be instilled in the main tapestry, not a side tapestry. It needs to be part of the main tapestry so that people can understand. Because as you stated, this whole thing about Trump wanting to prosecute journalists and send them out of the country is an ego move. It's so narcissistic that it's scary. But we still have those people, I call them the good white folks, who have not done nothing about it yet. And so
rise up, yep.
Yeah, your iconic presence and your journey and your presence today shows us that we continue to have work to do. But we look at you and say, well, we can get it done. Look at Carole.
I look at all the terrific young Black women that are on TV now. Lindsay Davis and Rachel Scott and Abby Phillip and I wonder what would I be like today if I were competing against how would I stack up against them if I were working today? Because they are wonderful. They are truly wonderful. I'm so proud of them.
You opened the door. You paved the way. So don't ever.
That's what they say. That's what they say to me.
You have my confirmation. I officially declare.
Okay, thank you.
So if anybody has any closing questions for Carole, let me go back and state what our goal was today, was to prepare for our convention, show our 50th anniversary, to modify and suggest that we send to the board some adjustments to the October award so it focuses on history, contribution, and content, and also add additional media-related awards there that are more iconic that we may do on our own. And I think that covered most of the criteria. And the other thing was that we wanted to make sure that are you going to be in Cleveland, Carole?
I don't know.
Okay, well, put it in your breath and keep me posted.
Okay,
We would
I
love
will.
you at our reception signing your book.
Ah, okay.
We
That
always,
would be nice.
we always wash each other's hands in the media related group. We all take care of each other. Did the Karen, what was the name of your conference in Hampton that we did? I forgot. What was the title?
We did. It was the in 2019, of course, hugging the same shorelines as 1619. It was uh, just a wonderful tribute of our ancestors and being able to go to the first landing where, most people think it was Jamestown, but we take them to Point Comfort, which was on the shores of Fort Monroe, Virginia, and where the White Lion came in 1619 with the Isabel and Thomas. And then going over, Terry, you'll remember this, we went to Aberdeen Gardens where the first African-American child that was born was buried in the Tucker family funeral,
Yeah.
Tucker family cemetery. And that was just an awesome
That sounds like it.
I said it. I asked her to share that, Carole, because we also did this. We actually went to the place, Fort Monroe, where the enslaved Africans were brought in. And I gave that lesson, stop saying slaves, they are enslaved Africans. Enslaved Africans mean it was done to us. Slaves meant it was our fault. Now, change the narrative. But we went to that Fort Monroe portal where the Union Army took them as concubines of war in order to give them freedom. And they used structure in place to make sure that and that Fort Monroe which housed a number of people, had, because of the contrabands or war clause, it housed 6 times the number of people that were there. Most of them were enslaved Africans that come from the Civil War. So it was profound. I could feel the ancestors slapping me in my face. And Carole walked up. Karen walked up and said, "You okay?" I said, "I can hear him. That's why I'm crying."
Tears, yeah.
Oh,
And for me, one of those full circle moments is that was the longest continuously run Army installation. It closed in September around 2015 time period.
what?
And we who came as enslaved, the person who turned the light off, the commander of that installation, was an African American and a Colonel Tony Reyes. Mm, one
Circular.
of my classmates from Hampton University. And just know that how we arrived, we ended up owning the location. And it's spectacular. The story is just phenomenal when you think about it,
That's right. Really.
We've got some stories to continue to tell.
Right. And so that your presence here was a fluke that you became our special guest.
Yes, it did. I wasn't expecting that.
And so a lot of us have had our journey on here. We've been through some things. Runs on the call, and he's in Pasadena, California, reclaiming his space in his home.
Oh, yes.
I've had hopefully a victorious battle with cancer. I hope it's over.
Oh, congratulations. I hope so.
Speak from a biblical perspective that Solomon built a temple and he knew what he had to do, but it took forever. And he had to be patient and let God make it happen. Building our Pat Tobin Award and what we've done takes time. And we're going to be the purveyors to get that done. And there's Job, who went through pain and lost everything he had. But his faith in God and his faith in his fellow man stayed. And God rewarded him tenfold of what he lost. And so your presence is one of those rewards where we restore that. And we appreciate you being here because you are an iconic representation of what you had to go through to be Carole, and also the celebration of being Carole Simpson in the end. So I appreciate that you're here. And I'm so grateful. Now, Carole, we want you to come back and do a book signing with us because we are reconstituting our virtual happy hour, which occurs on a Sunday. We have 6 sessions lined up, so I'd love to slot you in those sections. I will keep up with you. You let me know if you're going to be in.
I will.
Because we'd like for you to be part of our receptions and do a book signing and be part of us. And we'll get that done, and it'll sell some books, but also allow us to touch the hem of the garment of Carole Simpson.
Oh, stop.
Right, I do have a question before we go. And has anybody seen the documentary,
Which one?
the NABJ documentary behind the?
On wraps. I might ask Maria to do some investigative journalism, find out where it is.
So we had it here on the 21st. And I talked with Wayne Dawkins quite a bit because Wayne is one of the historians. And one of the stories he told me I hadn't heard before, and he talked to me about how media-related folks were never not meant to be a part of the organization. And those conversations and the archival information that he has that kind of verifies that. And I said, we need to bring that out.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we mentioned in our narrative when they interviewed us, is that since journalists who are transitioning, 100% of them are coming into media related PR. Why are we being second class citizens? Because it's, first of all, and y'all, everybody on this call knows it, they call it the dark side, but no, it's the lucrative side.
Green
That's
side.
for sure.
Green. But what I didn't know that was historically from the foundation, from the birth of the organization, the expectancy was that media-related folks would be equal members. And that I had never heard.
Right, yeah,
That were never meant to be left out.
I found that out as well. So guys, this has been a pivot, but it's been a wonderful pivot. And Carole, thank you. Karen, thank you. Ron, thank you. Maria, Ron. Now, I do want to know y'all to know that all of our media-related calls are recorded and they're online in the media-related YouTube app. This one, of course, won't be online for 5 days because I have to edit out all the hiccups. But we get to see this, and it goes out to, when I send that out, I send it out to the 785 members that we have, just like I sent this notice out and reminded people. So in about 30 minutes or so, there will be a candidate forum. And a lot of people have emailed me back and says, I can't join you today, but I'm joining the candidate forum. The one last thing I want us to do, and I'm gonna solicit Maria for this one, is that we need to come up with a donation campaign for those that need this, where we need to subsidize those who are in transition and still want to come to the conference. And so I want to go ahead and use our campaign link. And you have all that in our dialogue, and I'll share it with you. But if you can help develop the campaign, we can all shoot it out there so we can raise at least $2,500 so we can help subsidize those that are in transition. I remember my moments of transition from FedEx to launching my own PR company and becoming vice president of the second PR company. And that scholarship helped me still maintain. And I am now celebrating my 35th convention. So, so.
Harry, I would like to contribute that 2,500.
Oh, see, there goes God, right? Karen, I need some tissue. I'm going to start crying. I'll reach. Carole, can you drop your email in the chat so we can take care of that? And I'm going to send you a link because it's a tax contribution and it's tax deductible. I'll send you a link for that.
Okay.
Y'all have to come up. Y'all got to unmute and give some applause here.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all can say hello. Thank you, Carole. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And make sure we sell.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Ms. Simpson. It is an honor. It is an absolute honor to see you and to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Hope I'll be in Cleveland.
Well, if you're still going to sell 25.
It ain't one of the places I would like to go first, though.
By yourself on that one. So, Tony, right?
Yeah. Carole, thank you so much. I'm one of those people currently in the transition myself, so certainly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Tony and I were just having that conversation just yesterday. I thank you all for everything. Have a great day.
Good night, everyone.
Go ahead. This will be on recording in a few days as soon as we edit it. God bless everybody.